This is Barry, Blueberry, and welcome to Elemental Reforged. We're in this rather grand strategy RPG game today. Things just got a little bit more personal. The family Dynasty system has been introduced in Beta Update 2, and that lets you marry off your sovereign and raise some powerful champions along the way. So, let's see if we can find old Barry a bride and explore Elemental Reforged. We begin in a place where I spend, to be frank with you, far too much time. This is the customized civilization, character creation, whatever you want to call it, screen. And screen is actually not quite true. There are many. Here you can see I'm assigning some strengths, no thank you to the weaknesses, a little bit of color along the way. Then it's time to choose a race, give it a name, of course it's Barry, as well as some magical proficiencies and some professional backgrounds. I think Barry is very much a noble. I mean, just look at him. He's also fairly adept at life spells because, you know, he's generous, he's a healer, you get the idea. This is the character I've created. I've shown it to you in about 60 seconds in total, but I can assure you it took me far longer than that to find a tactical, quick, fast-moving in combat healing Blueberry. So, let's actually get into Elemental Reforged now with a little bit of cosmetic work done because I just didn't quite like the way Barry was wearing a robe. I think he's really more of a melee guy. And here we are in Elemental Reforged. The game begins on Season 1, Turn 1, because of course here are the turns of seasons, and here's our new family tree, waiting for some marriages. Of course, the game begins like any good 4X game would. Here I'm exploring the area around me, as well as looking for somewhere where I can settle. The exploration is key, finding the goody huts, fights, all brilliant. And of course, here we start to see some of the early and often RPG elements, with Barry choosing his path and then 4X style settling a city and figuring out what to build next. Now Barry's not just a strong guy, he's a smart guy too. I gave him the scholar trait, so hopefully I can move through this research tree, or indeed 3 trees, with a little bit more proficiency. Of course, though, Barry's real proficiency will come on the battlefield, where in Elemental Reforged we can jump into this dedicated battle screen. The environment will reflect the map that's around us, and you'll see a couple of cool settings as we move through the video. I can choose to manually control it, but let's be real, Barry's a beast, and these bandits are absolutely no threat. The beauty of going through these early fights is, of course, getting the goods, getting the crafting materials, the weapons, as well as the opportunities to level up. For we have multiple, actually, skill trees to try and figure out what to put our experience into. It's unlikely that Barry will ever have 2 playthroughs quite the same. This one, though, I think was rather special. You see, it's all about the family dynasties for me. There's modding in this update, there's loads of bug fixes, but it's the family tree that I am most interested in. So now, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to Barry's Bachelorette, for it's time for him to find a bride. That's right, we've reached the required level of fame to start to find some suitors. So, let's find a queen for Barry in Barry's Bachelorette. First up, it's Marana. This kind-hearted bride-to-be is nothing but charm. Of a Marian blood and of comforting nature, Marana is definitely interested in your No, could it be Gwendolyn? She's a simple farming lass, raised in the rough, cold countrysides. This hardy healer knows how to feed the masses. And come on down, Yuki! Having spent years studying in a small eastern temple, Yuki knows her stuff. And being the physically strongest of all 4 candidates, you'll never have to worry about opening that jam jar again. Or behind door number 4, will it be Celeste? As mysterious as she is magical, this uncommon bachelorette is often described as brilliant by her former bunk buddies. Celeste is an ambitious mage you'll want to see more of. So who will it be, Barry? Thank you for entertaining me with that terribly 90s impromptu game show behind us. Let's move on. Barry doesn't have enough fame. Doesn't have enough fame. He can't get the uncommon bride. So, we must carry on, continuing to clear camps, potentially build some great buildings, some wondrous things that are unique to our kingdom, not empire, thank you very much, or continue to progress through the other systems. Because of course, there are loads of technologies that I'm going to need. We're starting off in this post-apocalyptic world. There are certainly a lot of monsters and beings that are going to be problematic, and I want to try and kind of push my way through as much of the research as I can, as well as explore the map. Back to Barry though, for he is of course driving this ambition and largely motivating all of this strategy RPG campaign. He continues to level up. I am driving him, at this point just with one militia. We're gonna need to give him more people. Maybe a good way to do that is to drive him along with his family, for indeed, now I have 24 fame, and I can propose to Celeste. At the tiny cost of but one essence, we are forever wed. And while it might not look like a massive tree yet, let me cook. Let's get back to the task at hand. Because, you know, Barry isn't alone in this world, and one of the biggest drivers of whether we'll succeed or fail is whether we can keep Barry alive through fights just like this, and obviously giving him backup, whether it be through other characters we meet along the way, or maybe by gathering enough fame and picking up even more champions of our own. Now, there's a little bit of a trade-off here, granted. I could choose to separate these people out. They can go out, explore. They are capable of getting the treasure. They are capable of clearing the dungeons, of starting the quests. However you want to phrase it, we need these key characters, whether it be us, Barry the Sovereign, I should say, or whether it be one of these other champions more broadly. Our family tree will also play a very important role in this roster. So too will of course the buildings and crucially the training, for both of these happen within settlement. So we're going to need more settlements, more goodies, more resources. I'm sure you get the idea. Of course we won't do the right thing when we're approached by a quest like this, and we'll opt to go in for the fight. And in this case I'm really glad I did, because the background looks awesome, just to put it out there. I don't generally prefer to manually control the fights, but I love to watch them. So what I often find myself doing is not auto-resolving them, not manually controlling them unless I want to use a couple of spells, and that really depends on the build. Barry is a little bit magical, but he's not especially magical, you know, he really just prides himself on his sort of ridiculous syndrome-esque blue outfit, and his shiny white head. What a head. Anyway, back to the fight. Barry's going to win this, largely through fighting and through his initiative. For you see, I'm also slowly in the background here, skilling up Barry to allow him to move first in a fight. I'm trying to find out ways that he can have multiple turns in fights too. My idea is that he will be almost acrobatic, almost able to just hit first, hit fast, and win. And he'll be supported by this, a now, hopefully, growing roster of settlements. This one I'm adding more and more buildings to. You can see the way it grows. And oh my, what's that? It's a girl. Celeste and Barry. That's right. That's right. Our first child. I wasn't very creative with the naming. Please do not judge me on my nomenclature. But back to the family tree. Here you can see it's finally got its first branch. Infanto. Age but 1 season. Now it's time to grow the tree. To do that, we're going to need to keep moving, keep expanding, more experience, more seasons, more turns, and time. And while I'm doing that, back to the city point, it's really important that I establish some new settlements. I can... Oh my goodness, it's another girl! Another child has been born! Celeste and Barry, you two, really moving rather quickly. In this case, unfortunately, I have to admit, I thought that I was naming the city, but I was actually naming the child because I got distracted by my cell phone. Don't cell phone and RPG. And now this girl is called Jumboville. Yeah. Never mind, her magical mother continues to level up. I'm not sure quite how she got that experience. Maybe you might have an idea. I don't know, but either way, she's very experienced, she's leveling up. We're also improving our settlements, as well as the towns or outposts around them. Though in this relatively early stage, I'm still focused on buildings and trying to use some of my spells, for I have loads of things that I could have been doing but wasn't, like boosting the yields of my cities, improving my units, really a whole load of things that were being completely overlooked in favor of extending the family dynasty instead. Nonetheless, there are some really cool spells hidden in here, including sort of allowing our champions, our characters, Celeste, to cast a fireball spell and ignite her in a wonderful ball of flame throughout the process. We'll also be dealing with her equipment, traits, skills. All of these things that I've talked about so far will continue to level up and improve as we fight stronger enemies and fight more enemies. That's really key. You want to try and run out there and find as much as you can. Exploration is deeply rewarded. And so maybe it might be a good idea, unlike I'm doing here, to try and split up the parties a little bit more. Just a tip to future you from previous me. Back to our perhaps favorite E though, Barry. He's doing very well by now. Not only is his kingdom thriving, but he's actually picked up the acrobat skill. Tempted to gamble, but no, let's stick with the acrobat thing. For the whole build here, the whole idea is to move quickly, accurately, dodge the enemy, right? He should be fast, he should be nimble. Those blue boots aren't just for show after all. And here you can see him in action. You'll see him yet again. I love these fights. And Barry is incredibly effective. Always moves first, always strikes first. Truly brilliant. An unstoppable machine of initiative. So why not use that to our advantage? As I move over enemy outposts easily captured, queuing up a little bit of extra defense as I move my way through and very quickly expand my territory in this sort of unstoppable wave of initiative and of child fathering. For let's not forget, this is the Family Dynasty update. Let's have a check-in. Quite a few seasons have passed. Infanto is grown. Jumboville, grown. Barry Jr., there's a new one. And Jumboy, the last boy to be born. Here I have a couple of options. I can imbue champion, turning them into a playable character on the map. A champion to lead an army and find discoveries, find the goodies. So let's do that with Jumboville, for the initial intention was, of course, to have Jumboville on the map anyway. Barry Jr., however, should look at that. Look at the number of suitable candidates now, for the floor only opens up. And these candidates matter not just for the silly kind of game show things that I'm creating, but traits are passed down. It is a very true family dynasty. And so the magical lineage, the traits, the skills, the stats, all of it matters. Finding the best bride in this case really does matter. And for a small price, the wedding can be made. And now future branches can form. I think it's only fair to marry off Infanto as my firstborn. Fewer suitable candidates, but some nonetheless, and Marcus looks very skilled. Infanto can't help but fall for him. And just like that, we've got the foundations of a family dynasty. So, with a little bit more time, a little bit more crafting, now we have grandchildren. That's right, Infanto and Marcus got busy and had a daughter called Donna. And following that, Ravenna and Barry Jr. decided to pass down the name with Barry Jr. from HR. No, it's just an easy typo. It's Barry Jr. Jr., of course, because what else would you call the next junior in line? Thank you very much for joining me today for this look. Not just at Barry's journey, not just at his budding family dynasty, but more broadly at Elemental Reforged. As I've mentioned already, this is Beta 2, a big update. Bug fixes, modding in the game, family dynasties, as well as some other key changes. This game is still very much an early access title. As always, I'll chuck its link down below. It's one that's allowed me to tell some big, dumb stories in a very satisfying strategy RPG setting. I'm looking forward to seeing how it continues to develop. For now, thank you so much for joining Blue Barry and I. I'll see you next time.